Everybody, welcome to Void Jumpers. Welcome back. Episode 6, Know Thy Company. We're going to be doing an actual play tabletop RPG stream tonight. We're using Monster of the Week, but we're making up a bunch of our own rules. I've custom built just about everything. I think I'm just going to custom build everything from here on out too, which is what I was just talking to everybody about. Welcome. Happy to see you. It's my favorite time of the week. Before we get rolling too fast, I'm going to bring Trin on here to talk about how we're doing some of the donations and where all the tips and stuff are going today. So, Trin, if you wouldn't mind.
Of course. So first off, thank you to those of you who joined us last week and contributed. We raised $1,100 for the Loveland Foundation, which is so incredible.
Yes!
Woo!
So happy.
Will you just reiterate, Trin, what the Loveland Foundation is all about? Because I think it's pretty.
The Loveland Foundation is an organization that helps provide therapy and mental health care to women of color who might not otherwise have access to it. So that's pretty awesome. Tonight's organization is an organization called the Sasha Center, which stands for Sexual Assault Services for Holistic Healing and Awareness. And it's an organization that provides education as well as counseling services for people of color who have experienced sexual assault. So while we're not excited about the problem that they're trying to address, we are so excited about this organization and so excited to be supporting their work. And thanks to that 3-to-1 match that we still have going on, that means if you can donate $25 today, that turns into $100 to this really incredible organization. So I think we'd also like to say a few words. You know, we participated in the Twitch blackout yesterday, and we feel pretty strongly that gaming and streaming communities should be spaces that are free of sexism, racism, ableism, all of those things. And we support and believe survivors, and we are here to support you however we can. We'll be dropping some resources into the chat. And I think Connor would also like to say a few words.
Yes, I would. I don't think I can say it any better, any more eloquently or succinctly than Trin just put it. But I do just want to contribute my voice as a cisgendered dude and say, to affirm what is happening. There's so many resources available to us online that are going to delve into all the facets of what's happening with this rampant misogyny in the gaming industry and in the streaming industry. Unfortunately, I think the reality is that we all already know about it because we've lived with it as long as we've been a part of gaming, and I mean that in a couple ways. I mean that experientially for female identifying gamers, and I also mean that on the other side for gamers like me. I think that there is what I'm seeing is a tendency in a lot of aspects of what's going on, but particularly this kind of not all men phenomenon where I see guys eager, and I even feel this instinct in myself, an eagerness to resist culpability and resist to want to distinguish the goodness of ourselves. And I just think that that's not where we need to be right now. I think that this shit is real, and I'm going to get even less eloquent for a second if I may. This shit is so toxic and so pervasive, and we got to do better. And I'm saying that to myself, and I'm saying that to everybody, whether you've knowingly participated in this behavior, whether perhaps you've unknowingly participated in this behavior, whether you've seen this behavior. There is a film, a sludge of misogyny, transphobia, sexism, homophobia in our world, and it's got to stop. So if nothing else, let this rambling speech of mine be a flag in that ground saying, acknowledging my responsibility, our responsibility, and
Do the awesome that you do.
where possible that you guys join me.
All right, cool.
And
Thank you very much. Thanks for
let's-
saying that for us.
Looks like a tip came in
Yeah.
Sweet.
from
Going right to the org.
friend, $25. And he says, do the awesome that you do.
I believe that is Rob. If I am incorrect about that, I apologize, but thank you so much for that tip. That's $100 right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I think that "do that awesome that you do" refers to our choreographed humming tap line.
Humming?
Mm-hmm.
I missed this memo.
Okay, it looks like Brian is maybe MIA, and so is Connor, but we're not going to let that slow us down. We're going to jump into fiction here.
There's Brian.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being with the Twitch Blackout and with the causes that we're trying to help support. We all feel like we're not doing enough, and there's a lot of resources out there to help us do more. This is one way that we're trying to help, and we appreciate you championing these causes that we're trying to get help with. So thank you very much. We're going to drop into the game now. We're going to start the way that I love to start. I'd like to go around the group and just talk about what we remember or a moment that stuck out to us last time in the last session before we roll into tonight's action. We're going to start with Rex.
All right. So, classically, the things that I remember best usually relate to things that happened to me, namely my fail that then unleashed some giant, I know they weren't sand demons, but they felt like sand demons. So that's what I remember. I also remember a painful parting with Tara. Hopefully we will see each other again, but who knows? We are in the midst of great adventure. We finally made our way into the facility, only to be thwarted at the very end, which I think other people can explain better than I can. But those are some of the things that I remember.
Cool. Your weapon, Graflex, the mace, did get an upgrade.
Oh,
it was
yeah!
enchanted with fire.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really dope part. I can't believe I just forgot about that. Sorry. It's very cool. I'm very excited.
I'm going to fill in some
about
of the pieces I remember as you guys talk. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Let's switch over to the professor.
Let's see. Yes, that fight with the two large nightmare creatures outside of the facility took quite a while and was very, very fun. Then let's see. We went inside the Elder Seeds facility and looked around. I uncovered a robot of sorts, and I have her name somewhere around here.
Darius.
Darius, yes. And she was, a helpful person, but apparently has denied access to lots of the facility. And we ran into that a lot, actually. We were not able to get into a lot of the buildings, but we ended up going to a security area. And we saw lots of video cameras of basically all the buildings and whatnot. And then I think we saw Magister Langurium in the Vats area.
Yeah, the
So
summoner.
we,
You guys found the summoner.
And that's the gentleman that we were supposed to be talking to in the very beginning. That's the whole reason why we went to this particular planet.
All right, cool. Let's hear from Tag next.
A memorable moment for me was as we were attempting to get into the facility, we found outside a little kind of homemade device, an electronic relay of some sort. And I think that 3 of us and almost 4 of us in sequence flipped it on, only to summon the beasts to our doorstep. And Brian came close to switching it on as our last one, but he exercised his superior intellect and avoided it, which is a shame. I think narratively, it would have been great to see all of us really stooging it there.
All right, cool.
Just tripped over and fell on my ass instead.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Okay, last but certainly not least, Bryn.
Well, what has stuck out that hasn't been said already, I guess, is when I decided to heal the creature, and instead of pulling from a safe source of light, I grabbed from the continuum, which ended up working, which was a nice surprise. So that was super fun, and then seeing kind of the creature, the ichor, just like coming off of it and exposing the original source of energy or life that was there, and that it wasn't actually aggressive. And then rushing in to try to save Summoner Langurium and not really thinking about it and trying to use magic through the glass, which worked, but then there being some phenomenon or something that happened within the facility in that area that my magic ended up, I don't even know what it did. It ended up getting sucked over somewhere else, and where we left off is I was completely being drained of all of my magic. So I don't know how that's going to feel. Probably terrible.
Right. Okay, let's get cracking back into where we left off. So you guys approached the Elder Seed facility with your guide, Tara, who has since departed. But one thing to note that we didn't really talk about last time is that you know that none of the workers have returned back from this facility to Homestead. And
we haven't seen any bodies, correct?
Right, that's the thing, is that even though you assume they're all here, you have seen no evidence of survivors or deceased. And so that is part of this mystery as to what is going on. But after entering the facility and finding out that the tour guide AI, Darius, was blocked out as though deliberately from certain aspects of the archives of the facility, and also being able to unlock security locked doors, you did rush to go find Summoner Langurium, who you found through a blast-proof pane of glass, lying on the ground, bleeding from a severe wound to his gut. When Bryn reached out to heal him, as she said, she felt this spell go off perfectly, though it was peeled away, as though the magic was snatched out of the air and ripped backwards. But opening herself up, her magic continued to be drained from her. And we will pick up right where we left off as the party witnesses Bryn gasp, and then she is lifted off of her feet and thrown backwards into the doors of the greenhouse behind you, which are security locked. And she is being held to the wall by some force you cannot see. Bryn, you do feel your magic being drained out of you. It's the first time you'd ever really felt like, to put it in a way that's not quite accurate, a battery, as though you do have a finite charge, and you can feel your gauge going down. What would you, as a party, like to do?
Well, so is she has just been pulled back on the ground, or she's suspended in the air on this door?
Suspended.
It wasn't clear to me when you didn't automatically use the image of a carnival where you put on those Velcro bodysuits and throw yourself onto the wall.
Sorry,
if you had said that, I would have been right there.
My mind.
For some reason, didn't. So, can I feel through my connection to her as her parallel what is happening to her? Is it having any effect on me?
It's one of those things where we've discussed how you have a psychic link to your summoner,
yes,
but the link is, in a sense, dormant when not being actively used.
Okay.
It's like when you have a window closed, but for some reason when you're sleeping or trying to sleep, you can hear the wind whistling through some crack that you can't see. You can hear this whistling, but your connection is currently dormant. Would
Okay.
you like to open it?
What I'd like to kind of almost see if I can play a game of tug of war
Okay.
for Bryn.
Okay.
Bryn. Of Bryn.
I think that this is just going to be a use magic. First off, let's figure out what kind of numbers we're looking at before we start getting freaky here.
Okay.
Roll plus weird.
There will be a move I'd like to do. This is more, I guess, to feel if there is a rope, if there is even anything I can do.
Sure.
That's going to be a 9.
Okay. So you're going to choose one glitch, but you're going to be able to do your spell and just tell me what happens. First of all, just choose your glitch.
Let's say the effect is weakened.
Okay. So tell me how you cast your spell and what you do.
Well, let me pause there, because what is the spell? I think that I'm just trying to feel out if this is more an investigation I'm trying to make
Sure.
than a response.
I'll take this as an opportunity to introduce a concept you and I were texting about a little bit earlier today and that we've slowly kind of created. We're going to just concrete the description of it now. There's a realm that you and Bryn have stepped in and out of. It's almost like blinking your eyes and opening them to a different parallel plane where magic is actualizing. We are going to refer to it as the phase state from here on out. When you are in the phase state, you are projecting yourself into this magical realm. As of right now, only the magic users are able to get there, and it is very jarring because neither of you have really heard about this before. But I think
Because it is a product of the parallel connection, not a inherently magical state existing for all magic users.
I don't know that I want to be the one to answer that. I think that it would be interesting because Bryn has been she has grown up as a summoner and trained by people who have lived with magic and taught magic for ages. And Bryn, you haven't heard of this before, right?
No one's talked to me about it, but I think probably I'm just like, well, this must be a part of my training. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe it has something to do with the parallel, or specifically the fact that you, Tag, seem to be a parallel of a different
Order?
make or order.
It's like a half
you are
shot.
not
No.
you are not a traditional parallel in the sense that you
Sure.
were not groomed to be one, and you seem to have these strange instances when magic reacts around you in a very volatile and unpredictable way. And so I would like to say that you guys are not creating this realm, that it exists. You are simply stepping into it or opening your eyes to it. So I would say that the spell you're casting is simply to transition into the phase state.
Okay.
As an investigatory thing.
Okay, great. What do I see?
You said that the effect is weakened?
The effect is weakened, yes.
Okay. You see that you are unable to, and that your fear enter into the state, but you do open your eyes to it. So you're viewing it as though through a window. You see these swirling black tendrils peeling their way from the gap that nothing can get through of the door to the greenhouse and reaching around and wrapping themselves around Bryn and almost constricting her. They're holding her arms against the wall, and they seem to be hovering right above her face where her temples are, and they are just pulling like wool this golden thread, and they're just peeling it out, and then the other hands are reaching forward and pulling it and handing it back up, and then they're pulling it through the door. You just see them peeling magic out of her. And it looks like the malice that you've seen that's been, playing your little guitar or your little connection like a guitar this whole time. It is just the most prominent version you've seen of it.
Is it elemental?
Nothing that you recognize. Elements in a very generic way are represented by almost primary colors in this place. So fire shows up as a flickering red and orange. Water is blue. Bloom is green.
I'm asking in terms of, I do have a move, disruptive counter, but I believe it only responds to elemental magic when used in my vicinity. So
I
it's
would say
to determine that this would not be an applicable move.
I would say that we created the definition for that move before the malice was created, as the malice was created in-game. It was not something I had intended to make. And so if you would like to rewrite that definition right now and see what happens when you try and use that on this.
Let's try and use it.
Okay. I'm going to
For anyone listening at home, just go to, I don't know, iTunes, YouTube, music, whatever you use, and play Green Light by Lord. Because I believe that's what Jesse's just given me, and we're going to have some fun with it. I think that what happens, so it's a move I'm going to use for the first time, so I'm going to somewhat boringly talk about its verbiage here, so we have a common knowledge. Disruptive counter. When magic is used in your vicinity, you have the option to disrupt its effects. You accomplish this using your psychic abilities. This may only be used as a reaction to magic, takes all of your focus, and counts as your turn. So that's the move. And what it looks like...
So are you just trying to karate chop it then? Is that what's happening?
Gosh, I do love the idea of summoning Johnny Karate from Resurrect to just come in and just like fly from off screen and chop but I don't think it's quite that. When I imagine the phase state, and we're all creating it here together, so we'll pull from an amalgam of visual sources, I sort of see it similar to when Frodo puts on the ring in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies, and we turn into this kind of black and white filmic view where it looks like all of the lines are sort of being pulled. There's this sort of wavy, blurry effect going on. It's a little... We see it being used a little more sinisterly in that than I think this is. There's a lot of sinister things happening in this moment, but I think going into the phase isn't an inherently painful or trying place to be, though it does take energy to remain there. You do have to kind of hold it together a little bit while you're there for fear of theoretically, particling off into nothingness. Anyway, so I snap into the fade. I see what's happening. Before it just looked like she was hovering there, but now I see that she's being pulled, wrenched in all directions against the wall. And I can feel it's almost like the heat of this malice, that I can feel it like when you're standing too close to an open flame and you can feel it in waves on your body. And Tag, it's just sort of a clenching and a tension, and he kind of takes in the energy around him and the pebbles by his feet, the debris that's on the floor of this laboratory kind of vibrate and just hover an inch or two around his ankles, and then it releases and blasts out. Let's roll for it and see if it does infect.
We may have just lost our stream, guys. Or maybe I'm messed up.
Oh. Have we?
I don't know. It looks like it stopped on this, but maybe not. Never mind. I'm sorry. I think I'm wrong. Continue.
No, we're good. It's still on Twitch.
Yay. Sorry, guys.
Let's see if we do, in fact, disrupt some magic. We sort of do. That is an 8.
I was wondering if I could help. Is it too late to do that?
I don't know.
I can help out. Jesse's
no sound.
muted for me.
Yeah. Oop, no sound.
Jesse's muted.
Yeah.
My dog was barking.
We got you.
Yeah, so mechanically speaking, you haven't necessarily missed your window, but even if you were to do this, it would only bump him up to a 9. If you want to narratively put yourself into the mix to see if any freaky shit happens, I will let you roll that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't really have any connection to magical ability. I guess I was just going to be there for emotional support.
Some crazy shit's going to happen, We're going to enjoy, we're going to relish the fails.
Okay. Because this is a custom move, we're also going to show what the effect is. So when you roll a 9, it's going to be a partial success. The way that it's written now is that you get inside your target's head, but you don't like what you find. Tell us why, then choose a glitch from the list below. I'm going to let you tell me what the glitch is, and then I'm going to tell you what happens.
Okay, let's say the glitch is... Ooh. The magic is transformed into a new element.
Okay.
Are you about to set her on fire?
I don't have that
So-
option. That's amazing.
You... okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so what you do is when you kind of Super Saiyan crouch and all of the pebbles shoot into the air, you see this through line, this black vortex that pulls through her, and it gets a little abstracted, and you can see how it travels in through the greenhouse. The greenhouse is so densely populated with plant life, and it's just this vibrant place. It looks like this cacophony of magical energy. There's nothing that you can see besides this abstract, swirling bloom energy, commingled with a little bit of the other elements. But you see this black vortex flying straight through. And as you release this energy to disrupt it, you see all of the black hands slap backwards onto the wall. Every single one of them. It's like there's like a dozen of these things. They just peel off of the summoner and start slapping back onto the wall as though they're being held. Bryn, to those of you not in the phase state, slides down and crumples onto the floor. These arms peel forward, and you can tell that they're getting sucked into the place where they had escaped. And as they are about to disappear, they combine into one last one and lurch out and grab you, Tag, right on the face and pull you forward so your head actually smashes into the wall. But when it does, you feel your perspective invert, and you are actually seeing yourself from the other end of this very long vortex. And you have this moment, much like you did before, when you first tapped into the bloom, when you landed on this planet and you felt the presence of the malice for the first time. You're seeing through its eyes. And in your fear, you ignite. And that's when the element changes into a different kind. And at first, because
Ignite.
Yes,
Go ahead. I'll clarify
at
that.
first, because it seems like a familiar sensation, you do assume that it is fire. But it's reading like something different. It is white hot, and it is burning in a way that you've never felt. And you can feel this tendril, this vortex of malice disintegrate, and it explodes, and it carries forward back towards you are at the end being held by this thing.
I'm so sorry, Jesse. I do need to stop you to clarify. This feeling the white hotness, I'm feeling it as the tendril, or I'm feeling it as Tag?
As Tag caught in the malice's perspective. It's all pretty fucked up right now. But
Right.
what I want to do is, what ends up happening is this blast carries through and meets where you are smashed into the door, and it explodes again, and you fly backwards and slide. You don't take any harm because the energy came from you, even though you don't know how you got inside the greenhouse. But it is the first time that we are going to see as a party and in this campaign the introduction of a new element. It is something that is tied to Tag's backstory that he and I don't necessarily know all the particulars about. But I'd like you to talk to me about this thing that just escaped from you. We've discussed it as infernal, maybe. It's a new element, and it's the first time you've ever really unleashed it. But what was it in that moment of fear that you just blew through this malice?
It's hard to it exists above sensory language as I know it. I can best describe it as pure chaos. It's just this Molotov cocktail of chaos and evil. It's just this force of pure destruction, and it's indiscriminate. It's just it's that hole in your stomach when you know that something is wrong. It's that pit in your gut when you know that something has gone bad in a way that can never be taken back. And yeah, and it's the kind of warmth that at first feels like just a temperature sensation, but it's not actually from a source of fire or anything like that. It's the kind of warmth that you feel after you've been throwing up, where your body is just sweating and hot, and you can just feel vibrating inside of your chest, your ribs, as if they're on some other frequency.
Okay. So you accidentally flung your perspective into the heart of what this malice was. It happened so quickly and you were so afraid that you disengaged immediately. But you did see, and looking at the greenhouse door now, there is a hole as if it was bored through. Just enough for a wrist to pass through, where Tag's face was. There was an explosion of energy. What does the energy look like? The infernal element that we've just witnessed.
It's fire without the color.
Okay. Okay. And so you are flung backwards. You're now laying on the ground, perhaps a little confused. Bryn is... You're feeling your strength return, Bryn. It is slow, but it's like your little battery meter is creeping back up. What do you do, Bryn?
This happened when our connection was open?
This release happened when Tag... Yeah.
I witnessed it, is what I'm asking. Did I see what happened?
Yeah, I think that when your magic was being drained, you were just in the phase state. I think that you were like... The core of you, the essence of you was being stripped away by this malice.
I think I shake my hands a little bit and they spark a tiny bit. I'm like, all right. Well, cool. And then I'm going to walk over to Tag and make sure he's okay, because I saw him get hit and ripped out. And so I just want to walk over to him and just say, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Are you sure? Is your head okay?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm fine. What happened? What did you see?
I mean, I was so overtaken by what was shrouding all my vision and all my senses, and then all of a sudden it just started like ripping off of me, and then I saw you, and then I saw this door, and all of the stuff was going back through the door. It was really confusing, and then all of a sudden you had this thing come out of you, and it was like you were here, but you were over there. It was like a really bad acid trip. What happened? Like were you in two different places at once?
I think it's possible that you're having some disorientation from whatever that was. I don't know. I got it attacked me. I got flung against the wall, but that's it. That's all I remember happening.
Oh. I mean, I guess that's possible. I feel weird and not myself, and it definitely tried to take my energy, and it did, or my magic, and it did take some of it, and it's not all back. So could it have? I don't know. I'm glad you're okay.
Could it have what?
Tried to show me something that wasn't real, or I don't know. I saw it like clear as day. Something came out of you that I've never seen before. Some energy, some colorless, heat-filled energy. I could feel the heat even from way back here. It was bizarre.
Well, if it's, better out than in, as they say.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think it was probably from whatever that thing was that grabbed you, some you said that it was pulling things out of you. Maybe it was trying to. I don't know, but
Did you see it?
No, I just got hit in the head, and I didn't. I saw what was coming for you. It looked like these black tendrils, these kind of inky, smoky tendrils that was pulling what I assume was this magical essence from you. And I look around her a bit to see. I assume that we're away from the wall. We're not, it's not immediately tendrils are coming back out.
You've not seen it. They're gone. For as far as you can tell, once you kind of like scorched them, there's a hole where they were coming out of. You can actually see into the greenhouse now, but it's just the size of a wrist. It has not opened the doors. They're still security locked, but it's like a hole was melted through this thing in a perfect circle from where the tendrils were originally emanating after you kind of nuked it. But nothing's attacking you anymore.
And I just give her a little look around. I'm not checking for physical wounds, but kind of feeling for metaphysical, almost a magical wound, if there's any source of drainage or any kind of gap in the fabric of her magical wholeness.
I'm going to try to concoct because I see that his head is cut a little bit right there, so I'm going to try to quietly make some kind of bandage, and it's not working. So I don't know what to do, and I look at my tunic, and I just rip a little piece of it off, and I hand it to him, and I'm like, here, you got a little blood right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tie it. So I look really fucking badass now. With this,
Yes.
Do I need a roll for that? What do I see on Bryn?
Bryn, actually, you roll plus weird. Actually, roll plus luck.
I roll plus luck. All right. What's luck? Plus 1?
No, I don't think you've used any luck. So I think you start with, how much luck do you start with? We're going to say y'all start with 5 luck. Okay?
5 luck.
I rolled a 2.
Okay, that's still a mixed success. You can see Tag as you flip over and to just kind of look into the phase state again. It's becoming almost a second nature to kind of like close one eye, close the other. You can see that at her temples, Bryn has these. They look like as though a piece of paper, somebody had held a lighter underneath. You know, the way that the flame would kind of spread out in a circle? That in reverse. It's closing, but you can just see these, like, this vapor, this golden vapor of magic as it's kind of steaming out of her head, but those wounds are closing. That magic vapor seems to be collecting like fog and then drifting ever so slowly back towards the hole that's in the door. But she doesn't, it seems to, whatever it is, seems to be fixing itself. Okay. Rex and Professor, you have stepped backwards involuntarily and are against the door that you were looking at previously where the seed vats are, and from behind you hear a muted thump and turn to see Langurium, hand braced on the glass, fall backwards. There's a bloody handprint where his hand was, and he falls backwards onto the floor.
I think this is a perfect opportunity for me to just be like, I don't know what's going on with all this magic crap. I'm going to just trust my gut about what to do next.
Okay. You're going to use your plus weird?
Yeah.
Trust that gut.
Trust that gut. Trust that gut.
Trust that
It seems
gut.
very channelable.
This is a modified use magic roll instead of using magic because Rex is not in tune with magic. She's going to use a roll from the Tome of Mysteries called Trust Your Gut.
I rolled a 9.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a general direction to go. As you're standing there, you are confronted again with this door that you cannot get through because it has been security locked and not even the AI of the facility can get through. You do remember distinctly Summoner Langurium telling you the only way in was through the air vents. And as you look to your right, you do see an air vent at the end of the hallway in this little niche between the seed vats and the medbay / research center. You get a +1 ongoing while using, what is it exactly? As you explore the air vents, should you choose to.
I think it's high time we explore these air vents. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I say something real fast? I'm very, very much interested in saving registered the magistrate.
Linguini,
Sumner.
Mr. Linguini.
As much as anyone, obviously, I mean, he clearly needs medical attention, and those air vents seems to be the only way in. However, most of us seem to be very still unequipped to deal with this. And Rex, you have something on your weapon, but I'd like to try to see if I can augment each of your weapons, Tag and Bryn, so you can have some firepower as well. Because right now, I mean, I don't know. I think we should use every kind of benefit we can get our hands on.
The professor is saying all of this while I'm like sprinting for the air vent.
Okay. Rex is walking. You can hear her boots squeaking down the hall as the professor is telling you guys that he wants to give you some fire. How do you propose to do so, Professor?
Well, I have run out of the fire Erics. I have an additional Erics that is electricity, I believe, and we don't know what that does exactly. But I can put that in the Muppet, and I can give you my fire Erics and to one of yours that we know works, and maybe I can augment your blade Tag. And I'm not sure exactly if you have a weapon at all, Bryn.
Mechanically speaking, Brian, once you put, besides your reusable void Erics, any Erics that goes into the Muppet is spoken for. So were you to switch it out, it extinguishes. For the most part, once you enchant something, you can't make a copy of a copy, essentially. So you got a flamethrower on your shoulder. You do have electricity, and I believe somebody's packing a water. You'd have to distill both, but there are somebody's got a vapor node, and then somebody else has a shock cartridge.
It's also possible that we can find other fire Erics around the compound facility by looking in some of these buildings. And I, again, do not want to waste time just kind of looting rooms and stuff, because when there's a medical situation on our hands, but at the same time, I don't really want to be defenseless against this.
Okay. I'd say that you guys can do a couple different things. So you can split up and decide to do a couple different things at once, which I'm cool with. Unlike D&D, splitting the party in Monster of the Week, as long as you're not going into what you know is a big fight, usually goes okay, because you can get more things done at once. Also, Summoner Langurium is in the seed vats. The trouble seems to be in the greenhouse. So if you were to go talk to Summoner Langurium, it wouldn't necessarily trigger the next room event until you enter the greenhouse. So you might be able to talk to him and then do stuff, or the other folks can go in there and you can go look for some stuff. You got options. Don't feel restricted.
All right. In that case,
at the vents, but what do the rest of the three of you want to do?
I'm gonna largely take.
I'd like to
the summoner. She's my boss. It seems like Langurium is a couple breaths away from death's door, and I'd be real interested to hear what he's got to say.
I want to walk over to the window where Langurium is.
Okay.
And
he's laying there on the ground. He is still breathing. He does not look good. He reaches up to you, and he makes this very silly gesture where he kind of bibbity boppity boops and then waves his finger as if to say, "Do not use magic."
I'm gonna take my finger and write on the window. Hold on. We are coming.
Thumbs up. He then, slouches back and is just breathing heavily.
Okay. And it's the vent. So he told us to go through the vents.
Yeah.
Then
So
follow his lead.
all right, Bren and Tag join Rex at the vents. Professor, are you going to scrounge?
No, I'm going to join the rest of the party. Although I was under the impression that the vents weren't accessible from outside where we are. I'll go where everyone else is going.
They're just, it's like, you get the impression that because of how humid it is here, the HVAC system in this joint is probably pretty heavy duty.
And a lot of things are pretty accessible when you're this strong.
Okay, Rex, it's not a big deal for you to just like poke Graflex up there like a broom on the ceiling and just pop the vent out. We are going to enter into what I like to refer to as the vent event.
Oh.
But it's just going to
What a
require
catchy title.
Yeah, thank you. Thumbs down. Thank you very much, Tag.
Get out of here. I feel like I'm
We'll
frozen.
be rolling to successfully navigate the labyrinth of the air vents.
Ooh.
So each
At least
person...
it's not digital, because then it would be the event.
Any thoughts on that,
Bye,
Tag?
everybody.
That did not make it better.
Okay, so each person will be doing their own role. You will be acting under pressure to navigate the vents successfully. I take it everyone's desired destination is the seed vats?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, who's going first?
I'll go first since I went first to the vents.
All right, roll plus cool.
All right. What is my cool? At some point, I will actually know what any of my numbers are. That would
I'm
be
right
a
with there already.
7.
Okay.
Not quite a failure.
I'm going to just mark these. We're going to resolve them after everybody's rolled. All right, Tag. Or who would go after Rex? I don't need to choose your marching order. We're going to make Tag live with whatever his role is, however.
Which was a really good roll, so good, I'm glad. Don't throw me into the briar patch. I hate the briar
wait.
patch.
Are we supposed
I'll
to be
go.
rolling?
Yes,
Yeah,
everybody
dude.
roll plus cool. Professor's going to go second.
Oh my god! God!
Oh crap!
I got a 4.
Professor?
What was this again? It was cool.
Screwed me up.
All right, that's a 3.
Okay.
Oh,
Tag?
jeez. There's the Two Stooges here.
Rocking a 5.
Okay.
The Three Stooges!
Bryn had a 4.
Though the silver lining, and I don't propose we resolve this now, but just to keep in mind, that is my leveling up failure roll.
I believe it is for the professor as well.
Hey, what's up, Professor?
Bryn, mark
That's
yours. I
right.
believe you're 1 away.
Did
Here's
I
how
get a fail
going-
before when I rolled a 2, even though I made it with all that luck? Or did that not count as a fail?
That didn't count as a fail.
Okay.
It's end result.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do this in a couple different ways.
The fire
was all-
start at both ends of the vent, travel inwards. The spiders, I don't even know where they came from. And bees, so many bees.
All right, so unless
Tag
I'm,
just keeps farting in the vents.
and they're off, so that's not going anywhere. Unless I'm mistaken, and feel free to correct me, the marching order is Rex first, Professor second, Tag third, Bryn last.
Well, the one thing that I didn't mention is that I put on hockey gear before I get into it. Those
Goalie
big
uniform.
wide leg pads, a helmet with that dangling neck guard.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Rex, you jump up, grab the edge of the vent, and pull yourself up. You assume everybody in your party will be just as capable as you, so you start heading into the vents, but there isn't a direct way to the seed vats. You have a pretty good idea of where they are, so you start crawling through the vents. As you go for a little while, you do come to the next exit, and you take it. Roll a 1d6, please. Just one.
Okay. And I don't add anything to it?
Nothing.
Okay. That was a 2.
Okay. You pop off the door and hop down into a room that is pitch black. We're now going to go to the rest of you idiots. As none of you can even jump up high enough to grab the air vent. And it takes you some time and some messing around. You actually you do like a leg lift thing that nobody knows how to do exactly. It kind of hurts your hand. The professor boosts Tag up, who hangs back down and lifts Bryn in. But then they both have to lift the professor in. And by the time you get this all taken care of, you have lost Rex. You have no idea which direction she went because there's actually a couple offshoots of these vents, and you realize that it is a labyrinth up here, and these are very heavy duty. And so you head off towards what you hope is the seed vats. And as you go forward, you do hear Rex coming up behind you, so you stop and you wait. And then coming around the corner is a nightmare spider. And it is in the vents, cramped, and using its claws to pierce through the aluminum and slide itself forward. And its exoskeleton and the spines on it are tearing through the metal as it is starting to lurch your way.
Uh-oh.
What would you like to do?
Not magic.
Am I first?
Wait, it's coming to us? I thought it was going to Rex.
Oh, you thought it was Rex, so you waited around to see what would come out, and it was actually a nightmare spider. It's not one of the scorpions with the tail that is bigger. It is the. It's more like the nightmare crab.
What
Sorry,
mercy.
like the thing you saw on the bank. Yes, Professor. What would you like to do?
I'm first, right? It's closest to me.
Yeah.
Bringing out the Muppet.
Okay. Let her rip.
Tap my head. Radical little pops out, and I'm gonna kick some ass.
Please do. I believe you roll plus sharp to kick some ass for mathematical
I
precision.
do. Sharp. Okay. Here we go. That is terrible.
Please tell me. 4?
4.
Oh my god.
That is the second time I rolled snake eyes in my little pseudo dice cradle here. I will not be doing that anymore. I will roll my dice in another location. because
You're
I
just
am
leveling
very
up all
suspicious.
over the place.
Okay.
Did I say
Buster's
one spider was
level 10.
coming at you? I meant 1,000.
So the Muppet flips out. You haven't used it since Tara handed it back to you and you screwed it on hastily before heading out of town. You aim and you let it rip. It has actually been put on sideways and it shoots a fireball into the air vent's wall, which erupts, giving everybody in this little clump of 3 1 harm, ignoring armor because it is a close range fire blast. The vent fills up with smoke, and you can tell that it has actually punctured through and has started to lit the air vent on fire. Tag. You're in a burning air vent as a nightmare crab is scuttling towards you.
It's a combination of so many different fears.
Okay, so I'm going to roll psychic persuasion. Here's what I want to be doing. We have this fire that's been ignited. Psychic persuasion, if we recall, is where I try to essentially inception my target.
Mhm.
Plant a thought in their head. So I want to give the illusion that this fire is growing into a way, way, way out of hand and quickly traveling down the vent towards this spider.
Okay.
And that is a 10.
Okay.
The curse is broken, everybody, for now.
Your psychic persuasion goes unnoticed. Your target believes they and they alone came up with whatever ideas you put into their head. What do they believe they want to do?
Get the fuck out of there!
Okay.
Turn right back, just like...
That is exactly what the nightmare crab does.
It tries to do a turn. But it's Abdomen is a little too big. It just does the scuttle backwards move.
In its
Pulls a rope
haste
for some
to get
reason.
away, it tears the vent up quite a bit more, and you can tell that the structural integrity of the air vent section that you're in is starting to give out. But the nightmare crab is retreating. Bryn, what would you like to do?
I don't know what to do. The last time I used magic, I almost killed myself. So
Isn't Nightmare Spider a bit redundant on the naming?
A bit, yes.
Yes, thank you.
100% redundant. Thanks, Keen.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Keen
thanks,
456 for the
Woo!
$40.
Yay,
$40.
So awesome. So what's happening? The nightmare spider is retreating, but we're still surrounded by fire? Do we have
There's
anywhere
fire.
we can go?
Yeah, so the vents that you were heading in the direction of, this spider was coming up behind you. You guys actually stopped your progress and turned around to address it. So the way ahead is clear, but the vents are on fire and starting to break.
I run.
Yeah.
Okay, Bryn takes off.
Yeah.
It sounds like Tag does as well.
Okay.
And Professor.
Oh, I'm gonna hang out for a little bit. No, I'm gonna go.
Okay, so you guys split and you're going through the vents. You make it to an exit and pop off, and you can actually see the seed vats through this, the glowing tubes that go up towards the ceiling and are filled with these roiling particulates. You see these, and just as you're about to drop down, you hear that scuttling sound again. And from two different inlets, there are two more nightmare crabs, because 3 of you rolled fails when you entered into the vents.
Yeah.
They are coming towards you, and you hop down into the seed vats, but you know that they will quickly be hopping down right behind you. We are going to jump over to Rex, who is in a pitch black room. Your friends are not with you. You do not hear any of this scuffling, and you seem to be in a pitch black room. And you know from looking through the door of the seed vats, it was not pitch black.
All right. I take a second to collect myself. See if I hear anything coming after me. And then when I don't, I pull out my flashlight and I turn it on to take a look at my surroundings.
Okay. You seem to be in some kind of, just from the immediate workbenches around you and the grease-covered tools, you seem to be
My favorite kind of place.
Exactly! You are in a workshop of sorts. And you remember a sign from the hallway saying vehicle repair and maintenance, and you assume that you have somehow gone the opposite direction and landed in the vehicle repair and maintenance.
Cool. I take a look around for some gas tanks.
Okay.
Um,
Roll investigate.
Fuck yeah. That
oh
is
yeah,
a
great.
smart fucking move.
We can't use magic. We gotta fry these suckers up some other way.
Look, I know we're trying to keep it a relatively PG-13 stream, but pulling gasoline, that's a fuck-worthy move.
All right. That is a 10.
Okay, you get to ask me 2 questions from the Investigate a Mystery list.
So I'll investigate the hell out of this mystery. That's
Not
what I
all
would
of these
do.
are going to be perfect for your situation,
Yeah.
so if you want to just reword them, please feel free to.
Okay. I'll start with what happened here.
It looks like somebody... you can see that there are these weird metal shutters that go from floor to ceiling on what you would take to be the outer wall of this. And there is a switch next to you that you
Like
flip.
the outside wall, or
Yeah.
just between me and where the... Okay.
Yeah, the outside wall. You knew that these buildings were all in a bit of a circle around this central greenhouse, so the back of this building is probably the back of the outside wall. You see a switch next to that, which you flip, and these metal slats, like Venetian blinds, open up and sunlight pours into the room. So you have a clear view now. You are definitely in the vehicle maintenance. There's some forklifts that are up on these raised jack type platforms. There's a bunch of workbenches, a tool bench. Mechanically speaking, the vehicle maintenance is it's going to function as a workshop, which will give you a bonus to craft any gear, and also has enough small and mechanical items to be able to let you build kind of whatever you want. You'll have to explain to me what you use and how you do it. in at least a general sense. But what you can see is that somebody closed the door, locked it, and then pushed a bunch of toolboxes in front of it. It did not seem to matter, however. You can see that a bunch of tools are laying on the ground and a couple of the workbenches have been turned over. And there's another air vent in the opposite corner of the room that has been... The vent is lying on the ground, and you can tell that something much larger than you must have climbed up through it. So the entrance is actually destroyed. You know, it looks like it's torn up a little bit. So whoever was in here, if they barricaded themselves in, the creature came through the roof.
Damn.
And you got
All
one
right.
question?
I got one more question. What is being concealed here?
What is being concealed here? Oh shit! Okay, I thought of this.
I prepared for this. This is weird.
Under items for vehicle maintenance, we have gas cans, generic tools, and a tractor.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so you got gas cans if you want them. We'll say they're 2. They're filled up all the way to the top. There's no point in us to decide what amount there is. It'll just be 2 charges. So you can use 1 gas can to do a thing or build a thing. And you have 2 of those.
Great. I don't know the technical specifications for how one would actually make this happen, but my goal is to create some rudimentary flame throwers.
Okay. You can do this, and you will just be doing so at a minus. What is your sharp?
2.
It is +2 for sharp?
Yeah.
You're a smart cookie.
Yeah.
You'll be dating a -1 to your sharp score when trying to do it. You know that the professor could do this better. So you could roll to make some flamethrowers now with a slight disadvantage, or if you get the professor in here, you can do it with an advantage.
You know, he's an egghead, and I don't necessarily trust him. So I'm at least going to try and make one of them on my own.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Roll it. Plus sharp. You're getting a -1.
Okay.
Man, Trin is just leading us to a fuck-filled stream tonight.
+2 - 1. That's a 10, baby.
Okay, you got a flamethrower.
Yeah.
It's a backpack. You actually just find somebody's backpack that they brought to work, rip the straps off of it, attach it to the gas tank, and then find a couple different acetylene torches that you just fashion into a wand. So it actually looks like a pesticide sprayer, but you know that it will be launching flames.
Fantastic.
There won't be any penalty. You'll be, depending on what you want to do with it, there will be a roll required, but there's no penalty when using it because you rolled a 10+. So you just have a cool flamethrower backpack now and an extra gas tank. We're going to cut back to the seed vats. So, the 3 of you tumble out of the air vents and fall onto the floor of the seed vats. You're on the other side of the room, but you do know that you can see that Summoner Langurium is laying on the floor next to the main entrance to this room that has been locked. He does not make any motion to acknowledge your entrance, despite how Three Stooges it is. And you can hear some nightmare crabs, and you can see their claws punching through the air vents as they are ripping their way towards the exit to come down and do something to you. Professor, why don't you take us away?
Wow. All right. Quick look around, and just to see if Langurium, you said, is he's still lying down in
Yeah, he's
in this
probably maybe 40 feet away from you, laying on the floor.
Okay. Well, he's gonna have to wait. I'm gonna start shooting. I think I should probably wait a bit until I see some of them.
No, what we'll do is we want this to be cinematic. So if your goal is to blast them as they come out of the air vent on your turn, they'll come out of the air vent. So if you're gonna blast
sounds
these
good.
fools, yeah, roll plus sharp.
Will do. I lied. I'm gonna try this one more time. Much better. That's 12.
Okay, the nightmare crab your gun is going to do 2 damage plus 1 when you're using the correct advantage element. And as you know, fire against these guys is going to be your bonus. So you're actually going to be doing 3 damage. Or no, sorry.
Yeah, I thought it's
I
2.
feel like it's additional 2 damage. So you're doing 4 damage. Where's my little cheat sheet? Okay, so these guys got. Oh yeah, this thing falls. It like lunges out of the air vent, rips its way through and through the air. From the ground, the Muppet swivels up, shoots a fireball, and just vaporizes this thing.
Next.
Gaff and ash and little pieces of chitin just like fly everywhere and splatter onto the wall behind it. But right behind it, the second nightmare crab drops down onto the floor and prepares to pounce at the professor. Tag.
I look at the professor, give him a kind of once over, look back as if to give him the thumbs up. You know, I've taken out my bladed tonfa and I'm in the ready fighting position, and just over my shoulder, this bolt of flame melts one of these things, and I suddenly feel this very kind of empatizing childishness here with my little small knife. And so I'm
Hit it with your stick,
giving
Tag!
him a signal to like, hey man, floor's all yours, go for one more. But it jumps right at that moment, right at him. And so I just step instinctively right in front if I can and whirl the tonfa around so that the long part that is usually on my forearm spins forward. And I just try to hold my elbow into my chest and see if I can kind of catch it in its leap. And let it
Roll.
be carried by its own body weight.
Roll kick some ass.
It's a dooze. I was
Okay.
it was anticlimactic. I wanted it to seem cool, but I was like trying to find the camera, and I was like, yes, it is so cool.
Okay, so you. Oh fuck! I didn't even think about this. One of the tags that we put on your Void Blade is that it ignores armor.
Oh.
Wow, these things have armor, and you're going to slice right through it. So you're going to deal 2 harm, and you get to pick an extra effect on Kick Some Ass.
Okay. I think that there's. I don't have it right in front of me, but there's an option to deal an additional harm, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say that it's just there's that initial pierce, and then it slowly kind of ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. Slides down the blade, and maybe even disgustingly, like with my arm still in there, it's kind of I've made the hole that it's then sliding on, like I'm wearing it like this big sort of foam finger glove.
Yes, it does just that. And you're holding it, and you can see its face. It's like inches away from yours, as your arm is in its torso. Are you wearing armor?
No.
Okay. And as you're standing there holding up this very heavy creature, you can see that it is not doing well, but it does lurch forward and just put its circular mouth right over the top of your head and deals 2
We're
damage,
kissing?
2 harm.
Oh, okay.
It's like the way that you would see a snake eat something, because it doesn't have a mouth per se, it just has like this open hole. It just kind of like
I just want to push back on the idea that snakes don't have mouths for a second.
snakes have mouths, but the way that they just kind of
Absolutely
swallow
have.
things whole.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you take 2 harm, and you have your head is inside this thing's mouth, and it is chomping you. The way that this works is even on a big roll like this,
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I
everything
understand.
exchanges harm. This is just more for the viewers at home. Why I'm punishing Tag for his good roll. He has the option to take less harm on a heavy roll, but typically whenever you're fighting something in melee combat, the combatants just exchange damage. It's a down and dirty fight. Because fights go so quickly and I don't really take moves, that's what happens. So you get chomped on. Bryn.
Oh Jesus. What is in this room exactly? So we've got the summoner who's laying dying, and
Yeah.
Tag who's being eaten by a spider, and the professor who successfully torched.
Yeah, who's nuking fools.
So he's okay. So my biggest concerns right now are Tag and the summoner.
Yeah, so you're actually in a very large space. As you look over your shoulder to get your bearings and see what it is that you're in the room of, you're in the far corner of this room, and you've just dropped out of the ceiling. And it was kind of a long drop, but you all landed on top of each other very comedically and efficiently, so you didn't take any damage. But you see that there are, on your half of the room, 4 large cylinders that stretch from floor to ceiling. They are filled with this roiling particulate. I just keep calling it. You haven't looked at it close enough to see what it is, but it's full of liquid that's just rolling, like with sediment in it. In the center of the room, which bisects it, a tube 10 times the size. It's gigantic, filled with the same. It is glowing green, however. Then on the other half of the room, it mirrors the side. So you're in this very large warehouse type space. Langurium's maybe 40 feet behind you, laying on the ground, breathing, but has not made any move. And the nightmare crab is right next to you with Tag's head in its mouth and Tag's arm pierced through its torso.
Can we get access to the vats, or are they closed off? Or the...
It depends on what you want to do. It seems like they're just glass vats. So
But they go floor to ceiling, so it's not like they're open, like a lid.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got a couple options. I can use magic, which is going to be way super risky. Or I can use my staff and my bow staff training from when I was a kid. And run over to Tag, because I'm super pissed that my friend's head's getting eaten. And I'm going to take my staff. And I'm going to peel back the mouth a little bit. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry if this hurts, but it's the best I can do to Tag. And I'm going to jam my staff up into the mouth of the thing. And then use the leverage to fling it off.
Okay. Do you want to deal damage or just free Tag?
Well, I mean, if I can punch it too at the same time, I'll do that.
Okay. Roll kick some ass.
No, Lisa, no.
That would be 2. No, I'm not rolling in this anymore.
Lisa, you just leveled up too.
God.
No, Lisa, no.
Okay, so
3 fails in 1 round of game.
what you do is you waste a little bit too much time trying to talk to Tag through this thing's mouth and work your staff into it. And what you end up doing is it moves because you gather that it is in pain, and it's just pouring this black ichor that you guys have seen in this realm. It's black ichor. You've seen this stuff translated to malice in the other realm, in the phase state, but it's just pouring this black ichor, and you're working your staff into its mouth. And what you end up doing on accident is you kind of wedge it in such a way that scares the creature, Tag, and you. And what you've done is you've kind of just like, you don't hurt anybody, including the creature, but you've now wedged your staff into it and caught your forearm between its teeth and Tag's neck. And so you've just kind of locked the 3 of you together by sticking this stick into the thing and twisting it the wrong way. And so you're just all kind of in this clump. The creature's shuddering and trying to free itself. Tag is shouting unintelligibly because it just is like... And now you've wedged your arm in there with your staff.
Oh,
Professor.
No.
First of all, I take a little snapshot of that, and is there? You said there was 3. Is there another spider or
no? So Tag made one retreat from the flames. Then 2 more came out of the vents. You blasted 1, so we're down to 1.
Okay, so I'm envisioning what you have been describing. But it's not the spider has swallowed Tag's head and his arm, and
His
also
arm
now
is
Bryn is
pierced
kind of
through the spider.
okay, and so he's just kind of flopping around like a big fish. Okay. I'm going to see what I can do about, like, really not taking my time, but like really taking aim, because I don't want to hit either of them, and I know it's almost gone. So I just kind of want to just wing it, and just like hopefully that'll make it make it dead.
Sure.
Wait,
Roll
you're
to smash.
shooting at the one that is actually the three of us?
Well, that's the thing, is I'm not actually shooting through, like, to where your head space would be.
Right.
The abdomen that's flailing above you, basically, is what I'm shooting for. The space of the creature that is not coexisting with my friends.
I'm moved by your confidence in the accuracy of your shoulder-mounted Muppet cannon shooting fireballs at the two of us inside of a bug.
Ugh.
Mathematical precision, baby.
That's a 7.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah. So, this thing was not doing good. You do blast it, and it just disintegrates. There's not going to be a consequence to this because you didn't fail and it was almost dead. So it's not going to deal damage back to you, essentially. You just blast this thing. Everybody, including you because you're a little close, everybody falls back. It's like that scene in Men in Black when Will Smith shoots the cockroach from inside. The thing just pops. You guys all fall, and slime cascades all over you. You're laying in a pile of goo, breathing heavily. The camera, which is on a boom, lifts towards the sky, and we cut back to the vehicle maintenance where Rex has successfully just created a flamethrower.
Now, before I try and make a second flamethrower, tell me, the vehicles that are in this maintenance shed are a tractor, and is there anything else? And 2 forklifts. Okay. And do I have the sense that, so there's the one wall that had the shutters that all rose up to the outside. Do I have the sense that the opposite wall would perhaps lead to the seed vats?
You can't tell. You got a little lost in the vents. You thought that you were dropping down into the seed vats, so you're a little turned around. Okay. You're welcome to think that, but I'm not going to verify that.
Excellent. I will use this opportunity to try and make my other flamethrower, because I still don't trust the professor.
All right. Roll plus sharp -1.
Oh, 11.
Okay. You have a second flamethrower. It looks very much like the first. We're going to say that each of them can be used 3 times before they... each of them can be used 3 times before they expire. I have stats for one of these that I'm going to drop onto your character sheet.
Great.
But yeah, you got it. 2 flamethrowers, and they're both pretty badass because you rolled so well.
Yes.
What would you like to do now? You got 2 flamethrowers, and you're standing in a room.
I think it's time for some bold action.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to use probably the tractor.
Okay.
Yeah,
what would you like?
probably the tractor. I would like to drive it directly through the wall. That
Okay.
I think is opposite of the outside.
Yes!
Yeah, sure. I'll say this. You're confident that if you know where the outside wall is,
Yeah.
the opposite wall will probably lead you back into the hallway. It's also the door that's been barricaded.
Okay.
So you're welcome to. I'm just
So what about the 90 degrees of that wall then?
You don't know where that one goes.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay, sure. You're willing. I'm going to be thinking like if we were looking at this, you're instead of going west now, you're going north. Okay, yeah. Roll it. It's going to be an act under pressure because this is a tractor and you're trying to drive it through a wall.
Alright, let me just see what my... Okay, cool.
It's act under pressure. It's not live out every childhood dream.
That is a 9, my friend.
Okay, so you smash this tractor through the wall. The consequence of it is that it breaks the tractor,
Oh.
but you smash it through the wall, and you do not end up in the seed vats. You are actually in what looks like a medical bay of sorts. There's like an MRI machine and a bunch of different chemistry sets. But yeah, you do not destroy the tractor, I should say.
It just is not functional.
Yeah, like if you were to spend some time, you probably could fix it. But yeah, because you didn't roll a full success, you feel like it's wobbling as it comes through, and the wall kind of collapses further behind you, and you're now sitting on top of this tractor in a med bay.
Fantastic! I would like to scour this med bay for useful supplies.
Okay.
You know, anything that I might recognize that, we can't use magic and spells. Anything that I immediately would know, like, okay, this could help someone who's about to die.
Sure. I'm going to take 2 seconds just to drop a flamethrower onto your character sheet.
Great. Take as many seconds as you need for that.
It is now on your character sheet.
Now, how in the world, Jesse, could you have known that we would have built flamethrowers?
Who knows? Okay, let's look at the medical bay. Okay, so you're just looking for shit? Roll investigate a mystery.
Yeah, I'm looking for shit. Oh, 7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read you this description, and then you're going to be able to ask me one question off of investigate a mystery.
Alright.
Inside, you find a state-of-the-art laboratory that has been completely tossed. There are overturned chairs, broken microscopes, and glass all over the floor. There is an air vent in the corner of the room that is dangling open. There seems to be a functioning station near the back wall. That's the thing that kind of looks like an MRI machine. On the floor is a mangled robot who is missing his lower half. When he waves at you, his motor functions cease, causing him to grimace in pain. He slumps back to the floor, defeated. What would you like to know about this room?
I think my favorite standby is, what the hell happened here?
Okay. It looks like maybe people... this room is the one that you remember being security locked from the outside. And so when you walk over to this robot and ask him what the hell happened here without any kind of pleasantries or hi, how are yous, because you've
What the
never
hell
barked
happened
with the
here?
sheets. He says, "Greetings. I'm having some trouble." To answer
Clearly.
your question, several of the scientists worked their way towards this room and made it before it was security locked. Unfortunately, as you can see, that vent has been mangled. They were carried away. In trying to defend them, I was injured.
That's it? That's all you got?
How else may I assist you?
I don't know, can you unlock any of these doors?
Unfortunately, I cannot. The security locking mechanism is something that overrides any kind of capability I have towards interacting with the AI of this facility. Darius currently runs this place. I can not do that for you, but perhaps the air vent or that rather large hole you put in the wall with the tractor would be a suitable exit.
I turn around and I look at the wall. I'm like, that is a rather large hole. Well spotted, robot.
If you are in dire need, I could assist you with healing.
Well, I'm not, but we're on the way to assist someone who may be. So, yeah. Maybe I'll pick up this mangled robot. I'm like, you're coming with me.
Oh my! What an interesting choice! Where would you like to go?
I think back into... So you said air vents, right? We can go into the air vents?
Yeah. What Clyde will tell you...
Oh, his name is Clyde. Hello.
Is it Clyde or Clive? Clive. What Clive will tell you is that he's going to give you the free pass. The vent at the corner of this room, if you just go up into it and go straight across, will take you straight to the seed vats.
Yeah.
He
kinda what I
also
thought.
says that I personally cannot heal you, but I can assist you in using this terminal. And he points to the machine, the MRI sci-fi looking machine at the back of the room. And he says, I would be happy to instruct you on the use of this machine.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't need to know how to use it yet, but there's someone else who might. So we should go get him and then
Okay.
bring him back here.
I would be happy to accompany you if you insist. I don't know that it's the best idea.
He's saying this perched over my shoulder, and I just kind of look at him for a second. I'm like, I told you were coming with me. So
My apologies.
You're coming with me.
Okay. You go over to the air vent and lift Clive up. He grabs it expertly and hoists himself into it. He keeps seizing up a little bit and sparks keep popping out of him, but he slides into the air vent. And you follow him up. You guys go straight across and you see a hole. Part of the way through is actually difficult to traverse. It looks like it's kind of falling apart and was recently on fire, though there wasn't much other than metal to catch, so that has gone out. There's some smoke. But you do carefully navigate this and drop
and I
down.
kind of toss the robot across because
Right.
with his mangled legs he can't do it. So
Right,
I'm
missing
gonna
legs.
help him out. Yeah.
You slide him forward, and he actually skids along the aluminum and then drops out of the air vent. Everybody inside the seed vats, you hear as you're walking towards Summoner Langurium, you hear a crash and turn around to see a robot sitting on his waist, and he waves and he says, "Hey!" Shortly after, Rex drops down into the room too. You are now all in the seed vats. What would you
And
like
I
to
say,
do?
I found a healing robot.
Excellent.
There's actually, let me just page to my seed vats here. I'm going to read you a description of the room now that you're all here.
Are we
Yes.
here alone? Or we got another nightmare crab here with us, right?
No. Brian destroyed it. The third retreated. As far as you knew, you rolled a 10 plus on your psychic persuasion, so you said you got to get away from these flames, and he left.
Oh, it wasn't 3 additional. Got it.
Right, yeah. Okay. You are in a colossal warehouse. Large glass vats tower over you. Submerged in the glowing green liquid are sediment, which nobody's close enough to get a good look at. There's banks of monitoring equipment and environmental controls. They line the walls. In the center of the warehouse is a vat far larger than any of the others. Inside, there's a large, glowing presence. It hums with magical energy, churning the liquid which is surrounding it. Those of you in tune with magic can feel its power. You get the sense it prickles you in the same way the first event you witnessed on this planet was, when the explosion of bloom energy cascaded over your spaceship. You're feeling like 1/1000th of that particular feeling. Sprawled on the floor, Summoner Langurium. He's badly injured. What would you like to do?
I'm running to him.
Okay, Bryn goes to the Summoner.
This is a different. The room that the tendrils came from was the greenhouse. Okay, got it.
Bryn, he is breathing heavily. His eyes flutter open when you approach, and he says, Bryn, you've grown.
Wait a minute. Have we met before?
You were very, very young. I'd be surprised if you remember.
Oh. What happened to you? And I want to assess his injury.
Okay. It's a very... You saw Rex get stung by one of those stingers on the Nightmare Scorpions. This looks like that. It is much bigger. Much bigger.
Look, part like poison, or is it
Yes,
just...
he is definitely poisoned. It's almost this necrotic spreading around the wound. It's like the flesh is dying and the veins are blackening and it's spreading.
I don't know how to fix this except with magic.
He puts a hand on your hand and he says, that is the least of our concerns.
And I look over at Rex and I say, Can the robot fix poison?
Clive says, as I told your friend, I have no medical capabilities, but there's a machine in the other room which we might be able to use. He looks at the summoner over your shoulder, and this robotic smile fluctuates and goes, I'm not sure its capabilities will be able to immediately fix all of the ailments of your party.
Oh,
I gotta go
man.
over and
I'm gonna take off my necklace and I'm gonna put it around his neck and hope that it can give him some kind of strength to hold on till we can figure it out.
Roll plus weird.
Yes! 13.
Okay. When it comes into contact with him, the stone transitions into a glowing green, which you associate with bloom energy. And it pulses in what you take to be the rhythm of his heart. It is slow, but it is steady. And he lets out a sigh of relief, and you get the impression that this will buy you some time. The wound does not seem to be affected. The poison does not seem to be affected, but he seems to be, at the very least, in less pain.
Okay.
And he says, thank you so much. I tried to warn you. I didn't want you to come here. I couldn't have you come here. I'm sure that everyone would have found out eventually, but I didn't want it to be you.
You tried to warn me not to come to your planet? I never received those warnings.
I knew that we were going to meet, and I was looking forward to it, but it was the... Something happened at this facility, something terrible, and once it did, I tried to send word to your ship to stop you before you got here, but whatever it was, it locked us on the planet, both communication and us. I fear that we are trapped on this planet right now. The bloom energy, it's corrupted. I believe there's some kind of barrier. I can feel it. If I extend my senses, I can feel it circling the planet. I'm very close to the energy of this world. I've known it my entire life. I grew up studying it and living with it. You could say that I love it. And I can feel it being turned against me and used against us. There's a barrier around this world. I imagine you've realized you cannot contact your ship or anyone else.
Yeah, we definitely have realized that. Do you know what caused the barrier? You talk about this facility. Did something here happen?
He nods, and a look of shame comes over him. And he says, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
He says, I do know what happened to this facility. I'm trying to think of a way to excuse myself or explain it in a way that seems justified, but here at the end, I can't see the point. Yes, I do know what happened at this facility. And he gathers his strength and puts a hand on the necklace, which you set around his neck, and he grabs it and he looks around. Where are the rest of you?
I'm within earshot, but as they're speaking, I figure, and I don't want to intrude on that. I want to inspect the larger of the vats.
Okay. We'll resolve that after the summoner question, but you mosey over. Rex, what are you doing?
I think I'm just kind of, I've stepped back from them a little bit, but I'm keeping an eye out for any kind of attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tag?
I'm with Rex. My focus is a little more on Bryn.
Okay. Langurium seems to take no notice of Tag. It's almost as though he recognizes a parallel and sees the futility in trying to keep anything from him if he's going to be telling you. He does adjust his posture as though trying to block himself from Rex and the professor. And he says they work for the company, yes?
They do, but they're, from what I can gather, they're coming to realize that the company is not what they thought it was, and they're starting to question the company. So, as far as I can tell, they've kept me alive and protected me. They can be trusted.
Okay. I imagine in the days to come, you will realize how naive you are. Bryn, we've done something horrible here. Initially, he grabs his gut. He says, all right, I'll just get it out there. The company has devoted many resources to this facility. It's one of the premier research and development plants on the planet. Our cooperation with them here has given us many boons in regards to the tariffs many other planets face. The way that we've been able to accelerate production of seed, food, equipment, technique on this planet in the last couple cycles has largely been due to the research we were doing at this facility. Recently, we came across a way to distill bloom energy. It's never been done before, from what I can understand. It's very difficult, and we were not entirely successful. We created a prototype, a Bloom Eric's, the first of its kind. And we were able to use it to do many different things. From what I understand about Eric's is they can only be utilized once. It's a transference of energy, but it extinguishes afterwards. Whatever you use it on takes on the enchantment, and that's that. The Bloom Eric's refuses to bind to any one thing. Instead, the energy that radiates off of it is extremely unpredictable, but almost limitless in potential. And we've been able to use it to grow in an attempt to harness a more controlled version of this energy, to turn it into a more reliable battery. The company sent us several Arcano engineers. It was then that we realized our mistake, but it was not then that we tried to change our course. Unfortunately, the company is very persuasive, and without them, without their trade, we don't have much hope. But when we created the update to the reactor of this facility, I became aware that what they were doing was not what we had planned. Instead of making a harnessing device to insert the Bloom Eric's and use it to power the facility, they were actually creating a gateway. The Bloom Eric's, in its creation, showed them a hole in the fabric of this world. And I don't know how much you know about the original summoners of the planets or what they were capable of, but they were able to call upon powers and communicate with the elements in a way no one has been able to since. The company believed this gateway was a sample of that. And in opening it, they brought something in from the other side. It was the most concentrated form of energy I've ever seen. And in crossing to this plane, I don't have the right word for this, but it could not exist here as it is in its true state. It transformed into something, a creature. And in doing so, in order to acclimate to this world, it became corrupted. This did not slow the company down. They housed it in the reactor of this facility for more than a cycle. And they have been siphoning its energy to power this place for as long. Until recently, when it escaped.
So you distilled bloom magic to
Yes.
replicate, to grow, to,
Yes.
and then it was chaotic and you couldn't control it. And you opened up into another. Do you even know what you opened up into?
He describes something to you. He has a hard time. He's starting to lose his breath, and he's not doing well. He's very pale, and you can see the poison spreading through him. What he describes to you, though he does not understand it or do it justice, is what you are starting to learn is the phase state.
Oh.
It's a place between this world and whatever's on the other side. It's a filter. It creates magic in its effort to separate the two planes of existence. Magic is a barrier. It's a tool for this place, but what we get is a release of that magic, a fraction of it that we can touch and use in our families for whatever reason. And I believe it is the destiny of us as a people. We are able to harness that power and use it to what means that is decided on an individual basis.
Is it closed now?
What?
The opening which the creature came through.
I do not know. It is contained within the equipment of the reactor, but I fear that the explosion of bloom energy that happened recently was when the reactor fractured. If it is there, it might be contained to the reactor core, but I don't know for how long, especially if this place is... And he starts to cough and there's blood in his hand.
Oh, I'm like, okay, you've told me a lot. What if I could open up that portal, what have you, and send it back home?
That might work.
And
I think that were you to close the portal, the main line of energy would be disrupted. It would not rid this place of those things that crossed over, but if you could destroy them, perhaps they would be destroyed in a more permanent sense.
and what
You
about
should know
all-
that despite the corruption, I believe what we summoned from that plane is an elder, one of the original manifestations of the continuum's influence on this planet. I believe it is the avatar of bloom energy,
Oh
but
boy.
it is corrupted, and I do not believe it is the true form. I believe it is a echo of that form.
What is the company doing right now? They know about all of this, correct?
This was all a part of their design. I imagine that it, at this point, is an experiment that's gotten out of hand, but one they surely wouldn't abandon. There's too much potential here.
Oh, goodness.
You can see that he does not have much longer.
Oh boy.
He says magic is difficult to use in the presence of the gateway. It seems to consume the corruption of it. It's not pure. It's not... The gateway itself is corrupted, and therefore everything that comes through is corrupted. It was a violation of the place between worlds when the company opened up a way into it. The Bloomerix is not corrupted. It simply powered their experiments. What you need to know is you need to be careful when you use magic, but if you are prepared, you can protect yourself.
How? How do I prepare to use it here? I tried and it almost killed me.
You just have to be strong. You have enough time for maybe like 1 or 2 more sentiments or questions, but he is now fading very quickly.
Is it possible to give him any kind of like medical attention?
You could waste a med pack on it if you want, but I wouldn't. It doesn't look good. This is not like game mechanics wise. Like if he has the same health stats as you, he's taken 7 harm and has been unstable for a very long time. So like character wise, you would have to do something drastic to save him, and it doesn't look like you have the time.
And he'll not likely survive any kind of moving him to the medical bay, yeah?
I mean, I don't want to tell you no on anything. I'm just telling you, like, before you devote time, he does not look good.
Got it.
You're on mute, Connor.
The robot that Rex found is a doctor robot.
No.
I just want to remind you again, sir. Even if I were at 100%, and I would say at this point I'm at 27, I would have no ability to heal this man.
Well, why did I bring you then?
Yeah, seems
Right.
like odds are in our favor.
I'm gonna ask him if he has any family, if there's anything he wants me to send to somebody, any kind of message, any kind of like, do you need us to do anything for you?
I've lived a solitary existence, but I would beg you to explain to your mother that my intentions were good, though my actions were despicable.
Okay. I'll relay everything you said exactly as you said it. Who is your protege? Like, who can I come find? If you're gone, this planet needs a summoner.
My people will know what to do.
How do we close the gateway?
I don't know. I was injured trying to get to it. I would be careful inside the greenhouse. He says Bryn, and he takes his hand off of the necklace and reaches towards your face, but before his hand touches you, he is gone, and he slumps to the ground.
Oh man, I've never seen a summoner die, so this is I just take a moment to honor who he was.
As you stand there in silence, you see a disturbance underneath his robes.
What? Well, obviously I open his robes a little bit.
Sure. When you do, there actually is flowers, and his body is very quickly transitioning into plants. It's his skin is hardening into what you would take to be bark. The place where his wound was, ferns are unfurling out of it, and his form is just becoming this beautiful mix of plants. It's startling because it is something you've never seen, but it is not grotesque. It's not decay. It is like the opposite of that. It is blooming, and roots extend and find their way down into the floor, and within a matter of minutes, he is no longer the summoner that you saw, but instead this demonstration of life.
Wow.
I'm so very sorry, Bryn.
It's,
I step away and continue to look at the vats and see if I can discern what the particulates are and stuff.
Yeah, it is larva. What you're looking at is a disgusting churn of insect larvae. They are fighting over each other to get to what you can tell are a very quickly diminishing amount of seeds, but they seem to be swirling in this liquid and consuming all of the seeds that were in it. Are you approaching the main vat, the biggest vat?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, in it you can see inside there is a large glowing green Eryx. And it is suspended in the center of this vat of larvae and seeds. And it is pulsing with bloom energy. It's about twice the size of what you usually distill, but it looks like it would be, like the size in this case does not necessarily translate to its power. It is like the whole vat is lit up with this green light, and it is the two of you that are in tune with magic, you just feel this thing. It's cooking.
Will you, Jesse, take a minute? We just learned a lot of things about this world and its immediate history. Will you kind of quickly go through a bit of a checklist for us?
Yes. This facility, under the supervision of the summoner, created a bloom Eryx, and it was the first of its kind. Upon hearing about it, the company decided to use it in a way that was dangerous, and they lied to the summoner about how they were going to use it. In their experiments, they created an opening into the phase state in which something, which has now been described as an echo of an elder god, for lack of a better word, came through.
So the Eryx was meant to increase production, but it wasn't stable. And so they opened the portal on purpose to... Or
There was two things that happening. PR, the company said, we're going to come in there and build a housing for this Eryx that can safely use its energy. What they were actually doing was experimenting with it and creating a place where they could do experiments with it. They did not build a safe place. They just used it. It's undefined. It just has a lot of energy and makes stuff grow, but it didn't seem like they knew exactly what it was going to do. But the company harnessed it and fucked it up and opened this gateway. This elder entity crossed over, and then they chained it up. If you remember the cold open of this episode, you saw the inside of a reactor where a very large creature was chained down with cables extending from it. They were draining the life energy from this elder creature to power the facility.
So they then moved away. The Eryx was redundant at that point. They were then just using the energy of this creature.
It sounds like to the professor, if Tag is kind of mumbling to himself in the party, doing these things, the professor was tasked with retrieving this Eryx because the people of this facility had taken it upon themselves to remove it from the company's control and do something with it, like dispose of it, keep it safe, etc. So the professor has a secret mission, whether he's willing to go into that right now or not, in which he's been asked to retrieve this Eryx for the company because it was taken away from them.
And so the portal is still... So the creature, which is not the actual avatar of Bloom, but just a copy of it, corrupted copy, is here. The portal is somewhere and still open.
Langurium made it sound
core.
like it would be in the reactor core and contained, but still open.
Okay.
And
these
what is the
insects-
Eryx?
Sorry, Brian.
What is
These
the
insects
Eryx?
Fucking
Connor, you go.
No.
I think we might be asking the same question. The Eryx that is above this huge vat that is below it, all the seeds and larvae. Is it creating all the seeds and then the larva is just gobbling it up almost as soon as it can be created, or what's it doing?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, you are of this world, like experimenting with an Erix to see what it does. So there's no role required. You can tell that this facility has been making seeds for a very long time and supplying the system with them. But with the presence of this Erix, the production is much faster. The larvae do not seem to be created by this. They seem to be another layer, as though they have been put into these tanks and are now eating seeds as they are being produced. Yeah.
That's what I was suggesting. Yeah, like that the Erix is producing the seeds, and the larva is in this kind of container to grow large and fat. Like all of the seeds that are being created, and then they are gobbling it up. Got it. Okay.
So then my very last question. The creature has escaped who knows where. So the thing that held up Rin and tried to suck out her powers was something else entirely.
You know that it was coming...
Langurium explained it.
Langurium... I will say this. You know that the direction that it was coming from was the greenhouse, and in the greenhouse is the reactor core. And Langurium said that the housing that was containing the portal may have fractured. So there is a chance that the portal and the malice are connected.
Okay, great.
I would like to take a very tight 2-minute break, and then we're going to jump back into this and see what y'all do.
Intermission.
2-minute intermission.
Good.
2.
Diminution.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Before we jump back into the exciting, thrilling tale that we are telling, I just wanted to say this to anyone who might not be watching our stream live, like you're watching it later. I know not everybody can watch it as we are creating it. If you are still interested in donating, please get in touch with us because we will still be able to make that 3-to-1 match. So reach out through Discord, reach out through Twitter, any of those avenues, Instagram, any of those ways. We're Void Jumpers on those various platforms. That would be awesome because we've already raised $140 for our charity tonight, and we'd love to keep adding to that total. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, we're just going to. I don't know what's going to happen next. You guys have entered into the final moments of the Langurium event, and so you are going to see where it goes. There's a couple avenues here, but just to set the stage, Langurium has just expired. He is laying on the ground. There's an outstretched hand from where he was going to touch Bryn's face and did not, and as his hand fell, it almost lands in this line that tags eyes follow to his staff. It is the staff of the Bloom Element Summoner and the ruler of this planet. It has a very large green gem at the head of it, much like the one you saw in the vision you shared with Bryn, in which her mother's staff had a large red gem. His is in the shape of, it's very floral. You know, there's a lot of accents of like petals, leaves, vines in the carvings of the staff. The professor is standing in front of the main seed vat at the center of this. He's just realized that all of these are full to brimming with larvae, and that this one has a large prototype Bloom Eryx floating in the center of it. Bryn is kneeling on the ground next to Summoner Langurium's body, and Rex is alert and ready for any action. I'm going to... I imagine that the next sequence of events will happen after you leave this room. Searching Summoner Langurium's body, you do come across his key card. It looks very official. It's like an Amex black card. There's like barely any writing on it, but it just has this very cool Bloom sigil on it. This is the skeleton key that Darius told you about, which will let you into any room in this facility, even those that are security locked. So before we move forward, I think that there's a lot to consider in this room and within the party, now that you have this information. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys. If there's any scenes you would like to do, just nominate yourself and choose who you'd like to do the scene with, and then set the stage and have at.
I'll just say something to the group at large and say, like, so do we kill these gross larvae or what?
Yes,
that would be creepy.
I think that would be the best, is to find some way to take care of all this larva. Although, like, even my shoulder cannon is not gonna. It'd be very piecemeal. I think we need something larger, like, you know, something that can have large fountains of fire somehow. Maybe if we can scrounge around the rest of it.
Guys, I made flamethrowers.
Flamethrowers. That.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but I made some flamethrowers and I brought them with me.
She's got two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to see if we can find something around the facility, but if you have them with you, then let's do it.
Yeah, there's also like a tractor and 2 forklifts back there, but the tractor's kind of stuck in the wall, so we'd have to move it if we wanted to get at the forklifts.
Okay. Well, maybe less helpful in this situation as the tractors, but, you know, I mean, maybe we'll find something else to use that with. I wonder if we were to snuff out all these lives immediately, if that would be felt within the rest of the hive, and you know, they'd try to go after us at that point. I'm not exactly sure. But they need to be destroyed. So I guess, I don't know. Should we destroy them right now?
I'm going to reach down and grab my necklace, and it's encircling a flower. And I'm going to grab my necklace, I'm going to put it back on, and I'm going to pick the flower, and I'm going to tuck it into my robes. And I'm going to turn around and I'm going to look at Rex and I'm going to say, let's burn it all down.
Lisa, I don't have any plans for this, but I think it could be cool because you use weird magic. If you would like to just mark down that you have a flower that bloomed on the body of a deceased summoner.
Okay.
If you ever need a weird item for a spell or a device that gets made, I think that could be something.
Okay.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah.
That's cool.
While these cowboys are talking about their flamethrowers and killing everything and destroying it all and weighing the pros and cons, Tag does not participate in this conversation. His head is down. He quietly walks over to Langurium's staff on the ground. He's never used a staff before. He doesn't have a plan. He picks it up and he walks over to the Eryx, which is in the center vat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Holds the staff on the ground. And again, this chatter about flamethrowers and burning it all down is still going on behind him. He's half paying attention. He's almost disgusted with what he's hearing. He's just kind of tired of all of the lies and the politics and the unnatural manipulations of trust and order. And he puts his other hand on the glowing seed vat, kind of at the heart of where that green Eryx is, and breathes in and closes his eyes. And instinct takes over a little bit. What I'm going to try to create is I'm going to try to do some big magic.
Please do.
And see what happens. And I've never used big magic before, so help me keep in the bounds of the rules of the game. But as I understand it, I'm trying to use, not use this staff in a deliberate way, but just allow this staff and the power that exists innately within it to be part of a ritual born out of my desire to act in this way.
Okay.
And Tag has the memory, which we will all remember from a couple episodes ago. And
Hashtag
Jesse,
tip comparing
anyone
the
can
size
help
of
me.
their flamethrowers. Gonna spray until they're empty. Going as wide as humanly possible. Definitely getting that burning sensation.
Thanks, Burke.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Woohoo! That's $100.
Woo!
That's a tip. I think everyone must know Merc. She's our captain planet. I don't know what the name. I don't know what you do. Moderator, leader, president.
Just all around. Does everything.
CEO.
And she knits.
Oh.
There you go. All right. So help me with this reconstruction. We'll remember a couple of episodes ago, Tag went into phase state and was able to kind of pry the ichor out of these creatures, and as it did so, they kind of dissolved into the air in the form of this kind of golden ashes, snowflakes in reverse of bloom energy.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
So I think that what he's trying to do is going to be to get at something very similar, but without physically pulling it off, just allow the staff and the Eryx together to give him the power to turn the liquid in these vats into that blooming antithesis of their ichor, in the way that if you drop an Alka-Seltzer in a water, it has that furious bubbling sensation. The goal is for it to kind of eat away at that ichor, that it reacts and combusts and burns it up. And I'm hoping, well, you tell me when to roll and tell me when to keep talking.
Sure. Big magic requires several things. in a situation like this, like we described last time, oftentimes in the narrative, you've already done everything that you need for big magic. So in this instance, we're going to say that there is a requirement. It is going to require, what is it? It's like you need some rare and weird ingredients and supplies. You have the staff, you have the blue merrics. But you also need to use magic as part of this ritual. So you're going to roll plus weird. The blue merrics and the staff are going to heighten it into big magic. But in order to see what type of flavor we get, you're going to roll plus weird.
Great. 13.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah, so it does exactly what you want it to do. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about it, what it looks like when it happens?
Yeah. So it really, there's a synergy between the staff and the Erics, and I'm just a bit of a conduit for it. It's happening at an instinctual level for Tag. It's his just all this pent up sadness at what's happening, all the destruction and violence that has come out of this corporate greed, out of this machine, this mendacious company, and the Erics in the vat sort of starts beating almost like a heart pumping, but very, very slowly. And with the liquid that's in these vats just begins to change. It gets a little clearer and a little crisper. It almost looks like something you'd want to jump off a rope swing into in a river during the summer. And it doesn't look like the insects are being burned by this, just dissolved. They're just kind of flecking away into gold and green particles floating up and swirling into the vats, and you would think that these particles would make the water messier, but it does the opposite. They're cleansing. And at the end of it, when all the bubbling and all that kind of golden green writhing is stopped, Tag just drops his hand from the Erics, lets go of the staff, it clatters on the ground, and walks to the other corner of the room and says, "There, burn whatever the fuck you want. It's done."
You drop the staff?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you do this to just the center vat or all of the vats?
My goal is all of the vats, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's using the Erics in the center to change the vats with the insects.
You're working with such powerful relics right now that's not a problem. The moment you drop the staff, you have this feeling as though it's calling out to you, as though in using it in the way you just did to perpetuate life, it is connected with you in some way, and it calls out to you, and as though it's to say, like, do not leave me on the floor.
I recognize that connection, but I also think, like, fuck, I just kind of like said my thing and made my exit. I can't go back and pick up the staff now. It's like I did a mic drop. You can't like bend over and pick up the microphone and then walk off stage with it.
Okay, I dig it. All right, in the center vat, you see clearly the prototype Bloomerix, and it is a wild sight.
Wow.
Any other scenes you'd like to have?
I'd like to maybe roll investigate a mystery, or perhaps we're not rolling at this point. I'm not exactly sure.
Roll investigate a mystery.
What I wanted to find out is the professor has never seen anything. I mean, he's seen magic because he's been with this party for a while, but like nothing like that. That was incredible, and he's in his mind is trying to think of all the implications of the story he heard from Langurium and what I just witnessed, and wanting to know if it's possible to actually like do what he just saw on a larger scale to perhaps heal the barrier that was cracked. So like I guess I'm gonna like try to scrutinize over the staff and seeing somehow if we can recreate it or what the most possibilities are. 9.
Yeah, you want to see if you can Which barrier are you talking about? The barrier that's around the planet?
Yeah, oh, you know,
Or the barrier that's
there's
around... Sorry.
No, there's a hole, there was a rift, you know, that you spoke
Right.
of, or that Langurium spoke of before, and I was trying to think about how, you know, we could mend that, we can heal that, and like, I guess I'm just trying to see if these two things, the staff and the Erics, could be tools to do that, because I knew I didn't have anything in my repertoire to accomplish that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, based on what he told you about the Rift and also the Erics, he said that it is unpredictable, but the potential seemed endless. And so you are confident with the way that you have fucked with magic, for lack of a better term, using your distill magic and such. You are confident that you could at least take a swing at something like that.
Okay. If I want to get closer to the staff, do I kind of like touch it a little bit and like looking at the filigree of the you know, the ivy and all that? Do I feel kind of the thrum that you were describing before, but directed towards Tag? Like, you know, no, nothing?
It's weird for you because even with the Erics is different. It does not necessarily apply to this because it is just such a condensed ball of power. It's vibrating and you feel that. The staff, you don't feel any particular connection to it or any kind of tactile experience. It just seems to be, you look at it with reverence because it is a relic. It is a summoner staff. You've never seen anything like it before. It's gorgeous, but it's not doing anything magic-y to you. But that's not strange because nothing's ever done anything magic-y to you.
Right.
Not just you. Rex would say the same thing.
Sure. I pick up the staff. I kind of feel its weight and appreciate its brilliance and the artistry that, like, you know, went into making it. And I look at Tag and I said, I don't think that he would want you to drop this on the floor.
Do not for a fucking minute tell me what you think the summoner would want me to do with this staff. Do not touch that. And I grab it out of his hands. Not because I want to take possession of it, because it's sacrilegious for this guy to touch it. You think that you are somehow purified by science, as if science exists outside of ethics, outside of morality. You're not. Your science has intention. It has the capacity to cause harm. Your experiments, your poking and prodding to push the limits of what can be done has done this. I think it's enough. And I take the staff and I go back to my corner.
Oh, wow. I'm going to walk over to... I'm going to look at the professor and I'm going to say, it's cool. And I'm going to walk over to Tag and I'm going to say, hey, buddy.
And I say in my head, I heard it is not cool. I heard that it is so not cool.
No, it's not cool. And what the company did was awful. And I'm 100% behind you on this. I do think you should hold on to the staff. It's not safe here until we can figure out who is going to be stepping into the summoner role. We need to keep it safe. Can you do that?
You're the summoner. You should have the staff.
I have a staff. That's too many staffs on my back. I need you to hold it.
You fucking dope. And I kind of pantomime.
No. Don't wave it around. Oh my god.
Fuck. It like sparks a little bit at the end. It just like grows a little petunia.
Look, we'll find time to give you some proper training, but for now, just tuck it in your back and protect it with your life.
Okay.
Tag, I have copied and pasted an item to your list.
To my list. All right, I'll find it.
Deeply kind of distraught and thrown back by that outburst, the professor has no idea. He does not have the social skills to deal with what had just happened. And so he finds an old tried and true method of fleeing, or not so much fleeing, but like, you know, backing away and like hiding essentially, you know, and not dealing with a conflict. Instead, he pretends, well, not so much pretends because he was going to do it anyway, but refocuses on the Erics. And he knows that this is going to be necessary to perhaps heal this planet. And so he's going to figure out how he can get it off its pedestal and bring it with us.
Sure. It doesn't take much messing around. You go over to it. There are consoles built into the cylinder, and you know your way around the company's machinery. And what you do is you see that these type of vats are used in a variety of ways. They can be used to keep people in stasis if they're greatly injured. In this case, they are being used to house seeds so that they would not go bad. They can do a lot of stuff. So you're able to just go over to the console now that they're not full of larvae and just type in a few buttons, and drains appear at the bottom inside, and all of the liquid is drained. Another few taps, the glass actually raises about halfway up into the ceiling, and the Erix is now floating, kind of free-floating in this empty space.
Oh, fun.
The containers that I use to kind of house the Erix that I make, do I get any ideas on how to somehow contain it, very similar to that?
Yeah, just to break it down in a mechanical sense, I, as a storyteller, am more excited about what you will do with these items than how you will contain them. So unless you see reason to, you just have these, this is your job. So while you get the impression that this is way stronger than anything you've dealt with, these containers that you have, you can just, you still got a fucking, black hole in one of them or whatever that thing is. You're able to jar these things up. The prototype Erix has statistics. We're not going to get into it now, but I will copy and paste them into Brian's. It is different than all of the other Erixes you have ever dealt with. You can see it just by looking at it. Mm. It's all of the Erixes kind of have a glow about them. The fires that you've created, the fire Erix, when you're having it, little flames kind of circle it every once in a while. The lightning Erix, electricity kind of encircles it, just in these little sporadic things. Bloom keeps creating plants that then dust into these little effervescent puffs of bloom energy, and vines and flowers keep peeling off of this thing now that it's in the air. And it's just constantly in transition, and just glowing and living and breathing and turning into this crazy thing. You pop it into a jar, and it just continues to do so. It doesn't try and break the containment. It's just an inanimate object, in a sense. But you now have a prototype Bloom Erix.
Oh.
So I fucked up a little bit because I had thought, in launching into my whole tirade against the professor, I thought that he had touched the Erix. So I don't feel it's appropriate to re-yell at them.
It's okay. It's cool. I'm gonna walk up to the professor and I'm gonna say, we have to destroy that, right?
No, I was not aware of that.
There's no summoner on this planet. There's nobody proper to contain it. It can't go to the company.
Oh, it's certainly
not a lot of options.
Company.
What are you planning on doing with it?
I am planning on perhaps I don't know what was in store for the rest of our little journey into this facility. I don't know what we're going to run up against. What I do know is what I just saw: an incredible display of magic that essentially reversed the ichor and the malice and this oil slick that is running rampant all around this whole thing. This is an essential element to rescuing the planet, let alone the capabilities of what it actually can do and for humanity as itself. They had this, and they fed a whole solar system with it. It can't just be destroyed. And even if you were to be able to destroy it, that would be potentially cataclysmic. I don't know. I understand that this is a very heavy situation, and if you feel better, then you can hold it for me. But please let us not think about... I said that because I am typically the person who has expertise in this area and holds several Erixes myself. I'm not claiming ownership of this. Look, all I'm saying is that I think this will be very, very useful in our situation right now.
I'll grant you that for the situation now, but once we're out of here, that does not leave this area at all.
Okay. I wasn't interested in taking it off-world.
Well, the company sure has a lot of ideas about it, and I'm pretty sure they sent you to steal it, so...
You're right. They did, and I told you that before we got here.
Right. So I just want to make
And
sure...
if I were really, truly someone to be mistrusted, as apparently everyone seems to be...
I'm not mistrusting you. I was just wanting to clear it up that it doesn't leave, that this thing is too dangerous right now, and we have nobody here that can control it.
I agree.
Look, I haven't undergone the kind of psychological training that other parallels go into, but intuitively, growing up how I did, yes, absolutely. If I wanted to earn someone's trust, I would reveal a secret intention that goes against theirs in order to curry favor, regardless of what I intended to do in the end.
I grant that that's possibly something that with someone with a lot more guile than myself would attempt. Do you think that I am capable of such two-facedness?
Yes.
Very well then. Who would like to carry along this incredibly important relic that is not me?
I'll take it.
Okay.
You can take it.
I would advocate that the summoner take it.
Yeah, cool.
All right. I'll take it, and then let's stop squabbling. We've got a creature in a reactor that we need to do something with.
Although I do really love, side note, out of character, that Rex was like, it's like a atom bomb. Oh yeah, I got pockets. That's cool. I don't have to take it. I was just offering, whatever.
So while all of this squabbling was going on, I'm kind of hearing it in one ear. But what I'm mostly doing is I have gone and I have stood over by the summoner, and we get the sense that all the talk of the tractors and the forklifts and lighting everything on fire was a little bit of a cover from having to deal with the fact that this guy just died in front of them. And we get the feeling that although death is not unusual to Rex, that it's still hard to deal with. And then return to the squabbling and be like, oh, you need somebody to hold something? Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Well, I think we've done all we can in this room. Yes.
Agreed.
Okay.
Tag, you are now in possession of Summoner Langurium's staff. I have given you the statistics on it.
If you think it's relevant tonight, send me the link to that, because I've taken all of those word Bibles and just put them in a PDF for myself.
Okay. I just want you to, take a look at it. It's
just get jazzed. Yeah.
Okay, so you now have a key card that will allow you to open the doors to leave the seed vats. There's nothing else in here. And you cross the hallway. There's a door directly in front of you that says security lock. There's been a hole bored through it by an element that nobody had seen before, ever heard of. And it is also security locked. Who picked up the card?
I did not.
I'd say maybe Rex, even though she might be frozen. Rex reaches up a hand that is trembling, but she's doing her best to hide it. And she slides the card. And the doors to the greenhouse hiss and then open. And you are met with this wave of just soupy air. You can just smell this lush jungle inside. It is insane. It's not the way that you would imagine this jungle or this greenhouse looking, because this is a greenhouse. You know that you can see within this plant life there are the remnants of order. There are troughs, there are wires, there are housings for things, but the jungle has just exploded in this place and is trying to fight its way out. You can't see the ceiling, though you know it is a glass dome, and it is so dense you cannot see into this place. But there is this strange thing that you notice. Tag is the first one to do so. He goes like this. He slides back and forth because the perspective is kind of weird. But when he finds the right place, he can see a perfect tunnel, the exact same size as the hole that was punched through the greenhouse door. And it extends all the way through, punching through trees, burning through shrubs, all the way to the center of the greenhouse, which you cannot tell much from this small hole, but whatever it was that punched through the door punched all the way through the jungle. You are now at the edge of the greenhouse. We are nearing the end of our time, but I think that we have enough time to do a little bit of a little something.
The ski.
Yes. Okay, so Connor, did you check out your staff?
I was trying to pay attention to both you and the staff at the same time. I didn't really get too much of either. That's a good lesson for everyone about multitasking. So there's a tunnel in some trees, and the staff does some cool stuff. I'll catch up as we go along.
Okay. You enter a jungle just as dense as those you traveled on your way to Homestead. There are towering trees, thick underbrush, and a thin mist which soaks through your gear. Inside the greenhouse, the foliage is so thick you cannot see more than a few feet in front of you, and the canopy above blocks most of the light. It isn't long before you get turned around. You're cutting through this jungle. And as you parse your way through a couple different bushes, Rex, I imagine, in the lead, just hacking and slashing away with her dual swords that she borrowed from Tara, you come into a very small clearing. In the center of the clearing, you see an ornate dagger perched atop a strange-looking plant. What do you do?
I would like to investigate it.
Sure. Roll Investigate a Mystery.
10.
You got to ask me 2 questions.
Yeah, I do. How about
How are you doing?
What can
That's the first question.
what can it do?
First question, how dare you?
What can it do? As you are looking at this dagger and you're leaning in a little bit closer, you realize that it's covered in dew or something. It's very moist. And then it twitches, and you take a step back and you realize that it is not, in fact, a dagger. It is what seems to be a tongue of sorts extending up and out of a rather large carnivorous plant.
Oh. All
Feed
right.
me.
Man, what sort of creature is it?
A rather large carnivorous plant.
All right. I don't know if any of these other things are.
That's all you get, baby. You just get those 2.
Okay,
Do you guys want to
okay.
do anything about this?
Can I throw a little piece of plant at the tongue and see if it
Sure.
eats it? Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't do anything.
Oh, it doesn't move?
Not when you throw plants at it.
Okay.
Oh, no. Anybody got a finger? They don't need any more?
Well, the robot does, but that would be really rude.
Oh, shoot.
Where's
I
the
left
robot?
Cli- I
You
left
left
Clive
Clive
back
in
the
there.
Seed vats, by the way.
Oh, no.
You're terrible robot parent.
Our disrespect to robot extends to just constantly forgetting.
You're fired.
Poor Sunak, 88. Now Clive. Ay vey.
Call
Yeah.
Robot Protective Services on us.
We're not outwardly disrespectful. We're just extremely passive aggressive.
Yeah. Do you guys want to do anything with this plant? You've kind of decided. You've learned that it was not an ornate dagger. It is just a piece of the plant itself.
It's one hero plant, or we're in a whole mess of them here.
It just seems to be one hero plant.
I give it a wide berth.
Okay.
Yeah.
You continue on into the jungle. It isn't long until you come across some hanging vines. They are. You've seen vines here and there. They've been mostly wrapped around the trees or draped off of the branches, but nowhere near the floor of this area. These are draping down kind of like a curtain and extend in a three-dimensional space, probably 10 or 15 feet beyond. So it's like a bunch of vines hanging down in a hallway of plants. What would you like to do?
I look at Rex, and for some reason, just feel like she is smart. I don't know. I see vines. I'm just like, I don't know. This lady's tough. She's smart.
And I say, I don't know about that. My first instinct is to see if they're ticklish.
Okay. Roll act under pressure.
What's that, plus tough?
That is plus cool. Yes, Trin, tell me all about it.
That's a 5.
Excellent. You tickle vines. You lean in to do so. And what you don't realize is that everybody else kind of sees this, but it happens so quickly you don't have time to do anything about it. You see that it is a couple of the others have sloughed over, and in an instant, it's like they have cartilage in them that whip them up and they hook up, and Rex is lifted up into the air. Whee! And he is being pulled towards what you can now see attached underneath the branches of the canopy to be more carnivorous plants. These ones have longer beak-like mouths, and the vines are slithering out from inside of them. There is a mess of them. They're pulling Rex up towards them and almost fighting over her.
God, throw down the flamethrower!
Oh, she has one. Who did you give the second flamethrower to?
If she is not double wielding flamethrowers, we have failed as storytellers.
Okay, she's double wielding flamethrowers.
That's Rex, your call. I feel like give the people what they want, and it is definitely Rex double wielding flamethrowers.
All right, that's fair enough. I got distracted by the summoner dying and forgot to actually share.
Okay, I will give you the opportunity to go next then. What would you like to do, Rex?
Yes.
I'd like to pull out these flamethrowers while I'm being yanked up into the air.
Okay.
And blast them at these big carnivorous plants.
All right, roll kick some ass.
And that's plus tough, yeah?
Yes.
That would be a 12, my friend.
Okay, you just scorch this whole ceiling of them. You fall, but you're able to catch yourself because you weren't too far up. And the entire top of them, they just start popping like popcorn, and they are just... And the vines are dropping to the ground as this curtain of flames. It doesn't catch everything because it's too wet, but it kind of like burns and moves until it disperses, and when it does... Only a few of these things are left, and their vine tongues have been severely damaged.
I cleared a path, guys.
Very efficiently. Yeah.
So Tag looks at her and goes, "Yeah, so you knew that by tickling them, they would pull you up to the sort of nucleus of the plant, and you could blast a path. That's incredible."
Yep. Definitely knew that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trin, mark that both flamethrowers only have 2 charges left, 2 apiece. Okay, you continue to cut your way through this jungle, and then you reach a clearing at the center. It does not look like the clearing you found outside this place that was picked clean. This seems to be a deliberate landscaping choice. And there's a lot more stonework here because there is a reactor core, a housing for it, a concrete bunker of sorts at the center. But there's a clearing at the center of the greenhouse. A thick swarm of flies buzzes all around you. At the center of the clearing, you see the reactor core, a small circular building constructed of reinforced metal and concrete. There's a large fracture in one of its walls, and you can feel, those of you in touch with magic, can feel the magical energy radiating out from it. For the other two of you, it's like there's hot air billowing out of this thing. There are what appear to be rudimentary crops planted in mounds that ring the reactor core. Saplings sprout out of these mounds, growing quickly enough that you can see them getting bigger before your very eyes. What do you do?
Wait, trees are growing quickly?
There's crops and trees planted in these large mounds that look rather fresh, that are in rings around the reactor core, but the plants that are growing from them are doing so very quickly. In terms of how plants grow, they're not like exploding into full-grown trees, but you can actually see them growing in front of you.
You mentioned, Jesse, the word bunker. Does it look like the reactor core is something that we can go into or down?
Yes.
Does the professor have the idea of like the bloom Eric's has something to do with this rapid growth?
No, it does not look that. We'll investigate a mystery.
All right. 10.
Okay, you get to ask me 2 questions off the list.
Of course I do. What's going on? Can see that sort of creature. What is? Can I change what is happening here instead of what happened here to what is happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys get as the professor approaches the mounds, you're reminded again of how empty this place is. Not only have you not really seen any more of these nightmare insects, but perhaps you think of that scorched earth outside, and perhaps whatever survivors there had been had dealt with the majority of them. But you recall again that you've not seen any signs of the people that worked here. As you approach, Professor, you see these mounds, and they actually bring forth an image to your brain of something that you've seen rather recently when you investigated the nest that the nightmare tick was making in the clearing. Because you can see white eggs dotted throughout these mounds. And as you approach and the flies get thicker and thicker, you find out what happened to the people who worked here. What looks like compost is not compost. Eggs have been laid in the corpses of the workers of this facility.
Ew!
The bodies are covered in shimmering black ooze and fast-growing mushrooms. They are acting like fertilizer for the plants sprouting out of the mounds. And you can see in the ground around these mounds evidence of those creatures and their feelers and the way that they walk and the way that they drag things. You've seen this several times now. And they are all buried into this dirt that is being recently planted. And what you thought to be crops perhaps planted by the people of this facility, you now realize are nests that have been planted by the insects.
Okay.
What did you do?
Looking at my list, I guess. What's being concealed here?
Okay.
Dead bodies, man! Duh!
What was it going to do? I don't know.
We'll go with what's being concealed here.
Okay.
As you approach the reactor core, the earth trembles. A hill at the edge of this clearing collapses, creating a violent surge of debris. Trees are uprooted, dust clouds around you, and from the wreckage rises an ancient arachnid. Blood-red chitin covers the thorax and head in thick armored plates. There are 2 large pincers and 8 spindly legs. As the creature rises, so too does its tail, a high-arced lance, tipped with a deadly stinger. The creature is far bigger than any of the insects you've seen so far. It dwarfs the reactor core and towers above you. As you back up, it begins to approach. The camera pans out to reveal the scale of the greenhouse. And as you are by far the smallest thing now in this clearing, this elder god of a scorpion approaches your party. Blackout.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, this is part 1 of a 2-part finale to be
Yep.
concluded next week. Not the finale to Void Jumpers, but the finale to this arc, this chapter. this
Season. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Next week. Sorry, continue.
I'm just selling. I'm just plugging a little bit and shilling our wares. If you've got buddies, let them know. Here's their chance to jump in on the, I guess, big scorpion god battle. Let's just be clear about what we're offering here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, we will be concluding the Mission 1 arc, Season 1 of Void Jumpers. What that entails is that we will also be seeing the last appearance of the professor.
At least for now.
It is true.
Or, well,
least for
it depends on
now.
how he decides to make his exit. I think that the dice could say something different about that.
That is true. Yeah, I will be. Next week will be my last session, at least for a while. I'm proud to say that I'm going to be a papa very soon. I'm already a papa, but I'm going to have a son, and so that's very, very exciting. So I'll be taking a little step back, but the rest of the party will be continuing on without me. Shall we
Appropriate to
close
clap
her up?
for having a son? I feel like that was a clapping moment. Was that not a clapping?
Yeah, sure, you can do that. Yeah. Oh, no.
Baby.
All right. So thanks you very much for joining us for Void Jumpers. It's every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Starting with Lisa, please remind us of who you are and where you can be found on the internet should you wish to be found.
Oh gosh. Hi, I'm Lisa Coronado. You can find me on Twitter at Lisa Coronado and also on Twitch. I stream under It's a Smalls World, and right now we're playing through The Last of Us 2.
And Connor?
I'm Connor Marks. You can find me on the internet.
Trin?
Word.
Hey, I'm Trent Miller, and you can find me on the internet too. Being a badass.
That's right. Well, all right. And Jesse?
I'm Jesse Keeter, and you can find me on Twitter at Jesse_Keeter.
Excellent. I'm Brian S. Lewis, and you can find me at Brian to the Lewis at most of the things. Thank you to Mark Thomason for being our tech director. Actually, I think tonight it was someone else.
Thanks, Leo.
Leo, thank you very much. And today, difficult one. They had a lot of technical difficulties, especially in the beginning. So thank you very much for that. Aaron Buman, our music man, and our awesome mod Paximo. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it and share it. Our episodes are available on a Discord channel. Oh, excuse me, apologies. They're actually available on the Zoe Twitch channel, YouTube, or also the Fantasy Network now. You can join us on our Discord channel at Void Jumpers. Let us know if you want to have an invitation to that. Please tune in to Zombie Orpheus Entertainment Twitch channel every weeknight for more streaming of tabletop RPGs, just like this one, and a little bit different. Some are more funny, or just kind of, I don't know, more dramatic. Tomorrow is 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. Pacific will be Zoe Game Night, I believe. I'm not sure. We might be actually going dark because today is Thursday because we had to skip a day. Anyway, might be having something on Friday. I'm not sure this week. But Monday should be Masters of the Metaverse at 6 p.m. Pacific, and DG Game Night is at 6:30 Pacific time. Thanks very much, and catch you around the continuum.
Peace
Bye, guys.
out.
Bye, everybody.